Welcome. Today is one of our Tiara talks, and I'm Peg Rowe, one of the managing partners with Tiara International. And I have with me today my esteemed partner, Elizabeth, otherwise known as Beth Rusky. Say hello.
Hello, everyone.
Yes. So today we were inspired by the fact that for the moment, in terms of how we're actually recording this today, it's actually spring. At least it's pretending to be spring. In Chicago, spring you get spring one day and winter the next. But for the moment, we're in spring, and that reminded us of the whole idea of spring cleaning and what we go through. It's like this time of year we want to get rid of sort of all the winter stuff and put it away and get into that fresh kind of renewed energy of spring. And that ties for me to this whole notion of alignment. How do we align our systems, our internal systems, our external environment, to really support us in moving forward? So that's what we're going to focus on today, is this idea of alignment, really focusing on that external alignment and how it really can contribute to feeling like we're sort of together and ready to move forward with some momentum. So, Beth, I'm going to flip it to you and see if you have anything you want to add to that.
I think it's amazing all the things we put up with that aren't like that they don't support us, or they're not
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
not, helping us. They're kind
Yes.
of like obstacles, and some of us create these workarounds and we just keep doing
Right.
the workarounds.
Yes.
I definitely fall into that camp, instead of stopping, fixing it,
Right.
rearranging.
Yes.
So that when we were talking about the topic, that's one of the things that, snapped into place for me, is like asking the question, what am I just doing that I know is kind of like more energy than I need to be expending?
Hmm.
Where would that be occurring? And I don't just mean like, like you're talking about, like the environment. I
Right.
look around my desk and I've got a couple stacks of folders,
Right.
and I'm not touching them all today, or maybe even this week. So
Yeah.
why don't I file them? Why don't I put them away? Right.
Right. Yes.
So, so when we were talking about this, one of the things I thought of is, what? I need to actually, clean the clutter out of my desk and,
Right.
kind of get that a little bit more, useful, I guess I would say. Just less cluttered.
Well, and I think that's true. That's true for me as well. What I know that what happens, especially for some reason, this beginning of this year, maybe it's just because we're 2 years into COVID and things have started moving again. It felt like the first part of the year we were sort of shot out of a cannon. There was just a lot going on. There were a lot of projects that came up and things that had been on hold that people said, "Okay, let's go." And so what I recognize is that I was in the rhythm of that, and it felt like every day was like, okay, what's the next most important thing? What does this client need? And as a result, I end up with stacks of folders on my desk that are representing those projects, and many of them are now complete. And so they're complete, but they're still sitting on my desk waiting to be put somewhere. So definitely for me, that's one of those. I know it needs to be out of sight. If I have all that clutter around me and it's grabbing for my attention, it actually makes it hard for me to concentrate. It makes it hard for me to just focus on the thing I've decided I'm going to focus on right now. It's a pull to multitask. It's a pull to, oh,
Right.
well, I'll just do that thing for 5 minutes, as opposed to like, no, focus on the thing you said you were going to focus on and get it done.
Yeah. Well, we're approaching tax time here in the States as well.
Right.
So, I look at, I can see the pile of all the stuff that I had to get together
Right.
for, the accountants and everything for the taxes. And I'm like,
Right.
I just can't wait to put some stuff away.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly. Yeah.
I like what, the question I want to ask myself, and we hope you'll ask yourselves, is, are these things serving you? When you
Mm.
sit down at a desk or your table or in your living room or your bedroom or wherever you are, does
Yeah.
it feel like it's aligned with what you're feeling right now?
Right.
One practice that I do have just about every change of season is I go through my closet, and
Mhm.
somebody accused me of being a minimalist. I'm not at all, but
Yep.
I get rid of things. I mean, I'm constantly, giving things to charity, because you know what, I'm not going to wear that again, or
Right.
I don't really love it, and that type of thing. And if I have that kind of feeling about it, I just box it up, and give it away. And I do that every season. So that's one way that I know that I will, take that on. But I also realized there were other things, and this would be a question, if you're listening to this, to
Right.
ask yourself,
Yes.
like, kind of do a full scan. So where is it in my house? Where is it in my work that I need to kind of, look and realign some things? And also, what's the mechanical? Where, the mechanical things in my life? Are you putting up with a microwave door that doesn't shut?
Yeah. Yeah.
Does your car need, to have the oil changed? Have you been putting these things off? It's a great time to just pause and ask, what's the mechanical stuff I'm putting up with?
Exactly. I have to laugh because my daughter just moved. Now this is the second move in 2 years. So, and she really was not accumulating a lot of things in the last place she was at. But even she said, and she is a minimalist by definition, that's how she is these days. And she said, I still can't believe the stuff that I managed to accumulate, even though I was very clearly not in the process of doing that. And she said, and I realized that there were things when I was like, giving them away, like, oh yeah, I bought this to go to a wedding, and I never really liked it to begin with, So she realized like she could pinpoint almost every single thing she was giving away as something that didn't, in the woman who was doing all the organizing a couple of years ago, and everyone said, does it bring you joy? And she realized that she had things in her closet that's like, that doesn't bring me joy. And so she was moving those out. So I think to your point, part of it is looking at what's the energetic charge of the things that are around us. Do they bring us joy? Do they make us happy? Do they actually support us in creating an environment that has us feel good? Because we know the essence of being effective is starting with, you got to feel good that day. In whatever way that looks like, whether it's, the internal messages that you're sending yourself or the external environment that is supporting you to feel good. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the question that this conversation is leaving for me, that I'm going to be asking for all the different energetic centers of my existence, is what am I putting up with?
Mm-hmm.
What am I putting up with? Like I realize I have to replace my walking shoes. I've been doing a ton of walking. And, haven't in the winter was challenging, but I looked at my shoes and realized, my heel hurts. Well, if you're walking 5 or 6 miles a day, you got to have good shoes.
You sure do. Yep.
So, what are you putting up with? So that's the question I'm taking away from this conversation. Thank you.
Great. So I think, this was a fairly simple conversation, but one that I think any of us can take on. What are we putting up with or tolerating? What are we just tolerating? It's around us, but we just, there's sort of like a thing that has us not be satisfied with it. And yet we don't seem to be motivated enough to make the change. So what are those things that we're tolerating? What are, going through that scan? I always love this idea of scanning your environment and just seeing, is everything the way I want it to be? Is it all bringing me joy the way it is? These are simple things you can do. I saw an organizer thing the other day where someone said, if you have 10 minutes, 10 minutes is enough time to make enough of a change that it makes a difference. So sometimes I suffer from this. I make it a bigger project than it needs to be. It's like, okay, just scan this room. Like, what's something quick and simple I could do that I could put away that would just make it that much better? So this is a great time as we're ushering in spring in the Northern Hemisphere, to remind ourselves that it's a great time to really evaluate our environment and make sure we're set up for welcoming the next season, welcoming the next projects, welcoming the next part of our life that's right around the corner. So I want to thank you, Beth, for joining me today. And thanks to all of you who are taking a moment to listen. We do our Tiara Talks every single week. We love it when you join us. You can see us on our YouTube. You can join us on Facebook. And we're happy for you to be part of our conversations. Leave your thoughts in the comments if you like. And we'll be seeing you again next week. Thanks again. Bye-bye.